And you know, we were talking about this earlier. These two ladies, and I thank you, you really have helped me work on changing some of my eating habits. I'm not perfect, but if someone tells me it's healthier for me, I will be more apt to try it because I am usually looking for ideas for healthier foods to bring into my lifestyle. And I think a lot of people are. Right. They feel that they're eating healthier, but we talked about this, that perhaps they're not. Yeah. As often as they think they
I think this comes back to the original discussion of the games we play. You know, sometimes we convince ourselves that we're doing a better job than we really are.
And there's, again, it's food games.
Yeah.
How can some of our viewers out there may have little ones? Okay. All right, now this is tough. You've got ones and you call them picky eaters. How can you introduce new foods into their diet, into a child's, because then of course that reinforces behavior, and that's what they grow up with.
Right. I think serving as a good example, not like, okay, you need to eat this. Okay, you'll grow up big and strong. But having it on your plate. And when I was growing up, my dad would say, this is a silly example, but my mother would serve spinach. He would never eat it. And he'd say, now you're going to eat every last bit of that spinach. Now what kind of a message is that? Oh, it's good enough for me, but it's not good enough for you.
Right.
That's not a good message. And I think you mentioned, Janice, about incorporating it with something that they like. I don't believe in the bribery thing. Okay, if you eat this, then you'll get that.
That gives food more power than it's intended to have, and that gives that child more power, because when it comes down to it, even though we'd like to influence what children eat, ultimately they have within their power to decide whether they're going to eat it or not. You can't force feed a child.
Right.
No. So,
and if you have a hard time, okay, think about a child, and is it right for us to demand that they would eat certain things? That's not fair.
The other thing is, too, just realizing that children's likes and dislikes change very rapidly. So just because your child, isn't eating carrots this week doesn't mean that by next week they're not going to be ready to try them. And typically, we don't like to waste food. As food preparers, we don't like to go through the effort of preparing food, not to have people eat it. And so, if your child's pushing the carrots away, you tend to stop making them and say, well, he's not eating that, I just won't make them. And that denies you the opportunity then to say, well, next week they're willing to try it, but I don't know because I've stopped making carrots. So,
and I've read in parenting tips that it takes at least 13 tries of a new food before a child will accept it. Now think about it. Some parents react so strongly after one or two. Well, I'm never going to have that.
They don't
well, pretty soon you're running out of foods to serve. Let's face it. And that can't be.
Okay, ladies, food games. We kind of understand what they are.
Yes.
What are some strategies that we can use to address these issues?
Well, holding ourselves accountable, realizing that, the person, place, situation that we're in is not an excuse for not being careful about what we eat. So the buck stops here.
All right. So when I say, oh, it's the holidays, that's not an excuse.
It's one we use all the time, though, isn't it?
But, But take that example.
All right.
This is Christmas, birthday, whatever you're talking about.
Okay.
And so that gives legitimacy to, I ought to be able to eat anything, right? How about just a comment to yourself, you know what? I've had birthdays before, I've had anniversary celebrations. Just this once, I'm not going to indulge in a particular thing if it's really a magnet attracting you to it. That's just one way to start the process. So my big thing is going to the supermarket.
Okay.
And smelling the bakery. Okay.
All right.
Now here's what it sets up for me. Janice has heard this so many times, the sour cream donuts.
Okay.
What do sour cream donuts? What's the magnet there? I remember my dad in so many pleasant circumstances where he'd be asking for a sour cream donut or enjoying it, okay? So I go there and I say, I'm not buying a sour cream donut, but I'm gonna go up there and look at it to prove to myself that I'm not gonna do it, okay? I managed to do that for 45 days, I want you to know. This is important to share this. 45 days, I went looking over there, had my husband with me who was even tempting. Are you getting the sour cream donuts? No, honey, not this time. Passed it up, right?
Right.
Go to the supermarket on the 46th day. And what do I spy? The normal sour cream donuts, and right next to them now they've tweaked it with a strawberry sour cream donut. That was like more of a I said, well, gee, I've got to taste it. It's not going to hurt me this one time. And I thought, Judy, 45 days you've been doing this. Why would you want to sabotage yourself? Do you think I could get by it? No. Brought it home, ate it, and it was not good. Now, I never have to worry about that strawberry sour cream donut that looked marvelous, but I tasted it and found out it was not worth the effort. So what is all of that about? First of all, the memories of my dad, the pleasantness there.
Right.
Saying many things like high in cholesterol, whatever the notes were coming into my brain. But tasting the one that I thought would probably be even better, sabotage, didn't taste better, so now I can get rid of that. But can I still go over there with a regular sour cream donut and not indulge? Not really. So now when I get a sour cream donut, it is split with my husband, and I can't have as much. That's just it. And it drives him insane. Why can't you just enjoy it? Because if I have one, I'm going to want 2 and 3. So,
all right, I have a question that brought to mind is your story.
Fine.
I have heard and I have lived by this, that if I have a craving for something, that if I have just a taste of it, that will satisfy that craving. And you have to, if you have an actual craving, you should feed that craving. Is that a food game? Or is that truth?
Well, the question is, if you satisfy that craving,
but the one bite.
Do you stop that? Exactly.
You're the person. Not some people are satisfied.
Yeah, some people can do that.
A bite, not the average person.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Well, you take
so
one
all
bite.
you're doing is you're just bringing temptation.
Oh my God.
In front of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you really should just avoid it.
Yeah. And then do you ever do this? And I think I've talked before about one of my cravings is potato chips, and I, will convince myself if I just have a few, I can. But you know what the commercial says about one just won't do it, and so then I go back. And then do you ever say, well, you know what, I've almost eaten the whole thing, I may as well finish it off because I'm going to come back tomorrow and eat it anyway.
This is it. Exactly.
These are the games we play with ourselves.
Right. But you have a good strategy that you said. What is it about potato chips now?
I've switched to a smaller bag, and I only buy it every other week. So I'm still not where I should be, but I'm better than I was before.
That's right.
Because for me, if it's in the house and somebody opens it, I can leave the clothes bag there, but once my husband, I'll blame him, once he opens it, then I figure if I don't get some now, he's going to eat them all and I won't get any.
You won't get any.
So,
see? It's not just a simple reaction to a food or whatever. It's what surrounds it. I think you hit the nail on the head with that one.
So avoiding food games is possible, and it's small steps.
Yeah, probably if we just stop to take a deep breath before we automatically ate, and we could think of some of the things that we've talked about, and at least some of the time decide to do the healthier thing. But we're all in this together too. That's the other thing to remember. We all have games that we play, and we all, no matter how good we're doing, could be doing better.
Absolutely.
So hang in there.
It's just kind of like you said, just concentrating on what you're eating, and I think, like you said, if you just take a minute and think of what you've just thought.
Yes. Absolutely.
And just take a minute
Get
before you
connected
dive in.
with the thought.
What are my
Right.
options here?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Ladies, you always bring something interesting to the table. You really literally.
That was good.
But
You didn't even plan that, I don't think.
No, you do. We always have something interesting to talk about. Food games, very, very interesting. Didn't realize that I was doing that. And I'm sure our viewers, when you go and you pick up that lunch or that dinner, when you sit down, everyone's going to be thinking about, well, how am I thinking about this food?
Yes. Right.
So
exactly.
great tips keeping us on that road to stay healthy. Really appreciate it.
And we want to encourage people to call Janice.
Exactly.
at the
How can they get a
Cooperative
hold of you?
Extension.
Yeah, think
Janice?
about the games that you might play and give me a call and share that with me. I'm available at the Cooperative Extension Office, and the number is 825-0900. My extension is 229, so if I'm not there, you can leave a message. And those are some of the things that we use then for future programs to address.
And we also have a neat little handout if you're lacking in knowing about what food game you play. We have a nice little handout to really
be glad
steer
to
you in the
send
right
you.
So
direction.
this is nice. Judy, thank you again so much for
welcome.
coming out of retirement for us. Janice, thank you for joining us. There you go, viewers. If you have any more questions on food games, please give Janice a phone call. She'll be glad to talk with you. Thank you for tuning into the Milker Government Channel. Till next time, have a wonderful day.